Hello, good morning. Welcome to After GMS here on Facebook Live. I was just typing into the Facebook Live to let you guys know we are a little later than typical. We were running into some technical issues. You know how technology can be, but we are up and running and good to go. So go ahead, get started on weighing in on those conversations. Want to hear what you have to say, but we do want to start with weather because, Christian, you say that some storms are going to be moving into the area tonight.
Yeah, you know, we had that really nice weather yesterday, but I feel like this is going to be payback for that. The daytime hours are fine today, so let's talk about what's going on. We've had high pressure in control of our weather, of course, that's been keeping us nice, but it is starting to leave us, starting to move away from us off the coast. As it does, it's doing two things, one of which is warming us up. So we get into the upper 70s, near 80 today. The other thing is doing is allowing for this cold front to move in. Now, this is a strong cold front, so that's why we're talking about a good amount of rain. Also, a line of nasty storms moving through overnight. But once it's out of here tomorrow, cooler high pressure will build in. And so we have cooler, nice days to end the week and heading into the weekend. So that is the good news. So on the radar right now, you can see our system. It's actually putting down a lot of rain, even severe storms in parts of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. That same system is going to be heading our way. All is quiet now on the radar, but this will look a lot different tonight and tomorrow morning if you're up early. So as we go through the afternoon, daytime hours, afternoon hours are totally fine. In fact, we see the sunshine from time to time. It's actually a pretty nice weather day, but the clouds do thicken up and the winds will pick up as well. Between about 7 and 9 tonight, we could have just some general showers in the area, but what we're mainly watching is for a line of storms to move through. Now, this is going to be a late night and overnight into the early morning hours of Thursday type event. So it makes it that a little more difficult, also makes it, you know, more challenging to track, also for you as well going to bed. So make sure you have a plan before you go to bed. You can go to bed, you can sleep, but just have a way to receive weather warnings if something should arise. This is going to be a slow moving line of storms too. So really it's going to take all night for it to move through our area and finally start to exit. So we could be left with some showers through the morning hours on Thursday. Here's a general timeline of what we're thinking. Of course, earlier back to the west, between about 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. is when that line will move through. About midnight to 4 a.m. for us here in the Triad, and then about 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. further east that you go into Burlington, Graham, and over into Alamance County once it finally leaves our area. So again, slow moving system. So we're really concerned about flash flooding, especially in those flash flooding prone areas. One thing we do have going for us is that we haven't had a whole lot of rain lately, but we're talking about an inch or more per hour possible with this system as it comes through. Also, damaging winds are a good possibility, and it's not a strong possibility, but just a low end tornado threat. Even outside of thunderstorms, it's going to be getting windy today. Wind gusts near 25, 30 miles per hour are possible. This is what it looks like outside right now. It's not bad. That will continue for the most of the day and the afternoon. Upper 50s to around 60 out the door. We'll top out in the upper 70s to around 80, mid 50s overnight. So again, some of those showers can linger through Thursday morning, but we clear out in the afternoon, upper 60s near 70, and we're dry Saturday and Sunday, warming up too.
Let's get to your headlines this morning. Governor Roy Cooper says he hopes to see more of a leveling off in the number of positive COVID-19 cases before the state starts to reopen fully for business. This comes as North Carolina saw its deadliest day of COVID-19 outbreak yet. 36 people died from the virus yesterday alone. 342 people have died since the outbreak started. Right now, the state is reporting 9,568 confirmed coronavirus cases, but keep in mind, testing continues to increase, which could account for some of that number. Yesterday, during his media briefing, Governor Cooper also mentioned the budget proposal, which has been on hold. It includes more money for testing, personal protective equipment, and more assistance for unemployment. Yesterday, the General Assembly started its annual session to address these issues. Lawmakers will also soon vote on how to distribute $1.4 billion in federal funding. North Carolina lawmakers have drafted a bill to give extensions on driver's licenses and registration renewals. That bill would extend the deadline to August 1st. However, it would apply only to expirations dating after March 10th.
Second Harvest Food Bank canceled their signature fundraising event this year amid the pandemic. Empty Bowls was first postponed to June, but will no longer happen. Meanwhile, Second Harvest is feeling more need in the community than ever before. Amid record unemployment numbers, food banks are serving 40 to 60% more people. If you purchase a ticket to Empty Bowls, you can get a refund, but Second Harvest hopes you'll consider it a donation to their COVID-19 response. And you can get your free face covering starting today in Greensboro. The coverings are made of reusable fabric. Residents can get coverings for each person in their home. It's recommended to wear coverings in public places where you're likely to come in contact with others. You can pick those up at the Melvin Municipal Office Building on Washington Street, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Guilford County School seniors are getting a chance to get their voices heard from school administrators on how to get some of the events that they missed out on scheduled for this summer potentially. So Guilford County Schools seniors Zoomed with school leaders. Dozens of high school principals and senior class presidents were on this call. They virtually came together to bounce off ideas. Many students say they still want to be able to celebrate their accomplishments in front of friends and family, but to keep everyone safe, they'll need to think outside of the box and get creative.
And speaking of schools, we want to hear from you this morning as schools make a plan for the next academic year. North Carolina students won't be stepping foot back into their schools this year, but to make up for the in-class lessons lost, the possibility of an extended school year is being discussed. Do you think it's a good idea? You can let us know in the comments below. A lot of people already weighing in. Guys, I did talk to a teacher friend of mine about something along the lines of this. She is a teacher actually in Arkansas, but she just said, you know, the school year, basically after the first few months, they're just getting ready for testing. She says by then you kind of know already which students are ready to move on and which students may need to be held back. And so she didn't think that this was necessary. But Megan, I'll start with you with what you think possibly should happen.
Yeah, well, before we get to that, I want to share some of the comments viewers are saying. Overwhelmingly on our live feed right now, people are saying, no, don't extend the school year. That's not the answer. Let's pull up Heather's comment here. She said, teachers with school children will be unable to work if their children will be home a few days a week. The current workforce will drastically change. We heard from Melissa, who said, no, this has been a difficult year for all school children. None of this is their fault and need to start looking forward to things getting back to normal. Kim said, sure, in exchange, cut the stuff and tack on 2 weeks in August. At least it would count for a grade. I'm not sure if that curse word appeared on the screen. If so, we apologize. Eva said, start early this year. They need to go back. No more electronic learning rather. All right, so a lot to discuss. There is this debate about whether to extend the school year or extend the school day. I heard from a teacher on my Facebook page, Megan Malaris News, who said maybe Saturdays could be an option, although we've heard those be controversial before as well. So as far as extending the school year, if it means accounting for a lack in learning during this year, if that's proven to be the case, I as a parent would have no problem with that. I would want my son in school getting any kind of learning he can based on what he might have missed out on this year. That said, obviously a lot of boxes need to be checked. Logistics need to be worked out. We've never dealt with something like this on this scale before. Certainly kids have had snow days and days off because of hurricanes or flooding, natural disasters, but never something like this. So I'm interested to see how school districts take this into account and if anything's going to be done statewide across the board for all students next year.
And we did talk about this earlier on the Good Morning Show. And Christian, you brought up a really good point about the idea of extending the school day. Also, I'd like you to bring that back up.
Yeah, you know, we talked about either extending the school day or maybe extending the school year. And we talked this morning on the Good Morning Show about if you extend the school day, well, first off, teachers already have a long day, but also you have to think about parents who work and daycare issues. Megan brought up sporting events; those will get pushed later. Rehearsals, practices, all of that stuff gets pushed and pulled, and then where's the time to actually do the homework and do the schoolwork and get a good night's sleep for these kids? So I don't know if extending the school day is the best option. Of course, we're in uncharted territory, so all of this is going to be coming new to us, but maybe extending or starting the school year earlier, kind of pushing and pulling on those two ends. You may start it a couple weeks earlier and have it go a little bit later in the school year, just to kind of make up some of that lost time and to spend a little extra time with students. But I just said it a couple moments ago, we're in uncharted territory. We've never done this before, so we're all trying to learn and figure out what might be the best policy. But I don't know if extending the school day in itself is the best way to go. Of course, I'm not in education, I'm not a teacher, so you can take what I say with a grain of salt, but that's just the way that I kind of see it from the outside.
A lot of people weighing in. I do want to share some of your comments on our Facebook stream. Joey says, extra school time. Why? My kids are in school right now. Virtual classes are school. By extending the school year, you tell these students that all the work done from home was nothing. An interesting point there. And then another comment from Nicole says, no, extending school is not the answer. Preparing for their return in the summer is the best answer. You have 5 months to prep for next year. That should be plenty of time to put those education degrees to work. Tina says, no extra time. We are still doing classwork. Let them have a fresh start. Some people also talking about how they are ready for their kids to get back to a sense of normalcy in this all, which I know we all are kind of hoping for at this time. So keep weighing in what you think about that. We're also seeing some questions about weather. As if we didn't have enough on our minds and occupied with, we can't forget about getting spring storm ready. All eyes are on that next strong storm system moving into our area. And Christian, it's a good time to go ahead and get a severe weather plan in place for your family, right?
Yeah, it is. And I guess we've just kind of been on the bad side of luck lately, because it seems like all of our storms are coming through late at night or in the overnight hours. And there's no real meteorological answer to that. It's just, like I said, kind of bad luck, but it does make it much more challenging. And when these storms come through in the overnight hours, it makes it a little more dangerous as well. So you can go to bed tonight. Again, this is going to be an overnight event. It's going to be a slow moving storm. So it's going to take several hours to get, from our area in the west in the foothills all the way over to the east before it crosses into the Triangle, into the Raleigh area. So you can go to bed, but make sure you have a plan in place for your family. Know where you're going to go in case a warning does come up. Of course, that's the most inner room in your home. If you have a basement, that is the safest place, but of course, away from doors and windows. And also, before you go to bed, make sure you have a way to receive weather warnings should they arise. So you can take your cell phone and do that. If you have a weather radio, that's a great idea as well. Or you can download our News 2 app. We have two, one that's our main app for our whole station, and then we also have a weather app as well. And if we get into a situation where you lose power and you have to go into one of those rooms, you can track along with us on the storm because there's a radar right there for you. So all of those tools you can use, but make sure you have a way to receive those warnings and have a plan in place for your family.
Yeah, so important to have a plan. Megan, do you have a severe weather plan? I'm sure that you do.
Yeah, well, we recently updated it with those other storms that we had a couple of weeks ago. We don't have a basement, so we had to identify the innermost, lowest level room in our house, which happens to be a closet underneath the stairs. The problem with that, there's a lot of stuff in that closet. So I was talking to my husband the night before those storms. I said, we got to clear this out in case we have to grab the baby and all get in there at a moment's notice. And so we did. We took all the stuff out. But just things like that are important to think about. Okay, maybe you've identified your safe space, but how practical is it in the event of an emergency, and is it really going to keep you safe? So yeah, it's important to have a plan. I know, Christian, in response to one of the questions we got on our feed, you mentioned that tornado threats are low tonight. That is good. That said, we all need to be ready for any kind of weather at any point in the spring. I want to ask you, Christian, about temperatures. It seems like this time of year in North Carolina, every year right now, whether it's April heading into May, we have the heat on at night and in the early morning hours, and then by the afternoon we're roasting and have the AC cranking. Is this normal for this time of year?
My non-scientific answer is North Carolina. My scientific answer, and the one that actually makes more sense, is the fact that this is peak severe weather season because of the fact there are so many changes happening in the atmosphere. The atmosphere is really volatile right now. So we get really warm days here, like today we're going to be up close to 80, but still in the upper atmosphere, it's really, really cold.
Yeah.
And so there are so many stark changes in the atmosphere. That's kind of, in a basic sense, what helps spark off a lot of these systems. And when we have really warm days and it's cold above our heads, it's really easy for air to rise, and that's what forms clouds, and that's what ends up forming storms. So that's why our storms are a little worse during this time of the year. We get general thunderstorms all the time in the summer, but this is peak severe weather season because of so many changes.
Yeah, we actually talked about it last week that the forecasters were expecting the next few weeks to be like this, and we were going to see more storms in the south, and it definitely seems like we are seeing that. I thought Torin brought up a really good point about how this is a different time with us being in a pandemic and having a plan in place. A lot of people that live in places like mobile homes don't have somewhere to go. They usually have to go to someone else's house or shelter. So if you are one of those people, you need to make sure that you have a plan, that you talk with those people to make sure that they're okay with you coming in there. As we try to practice social distancing, a lot to take into note with that. And Christian, actually, someone did comment. Jennifer wants to know, what is a tornado risk? I know you kind of talked about that, but maybe just kind of weigh in more on it.
So yeah, I'll give you a little bit of insight. Compared to the last couple systems that we've had over the last couple weeks, the tornado threat tonight is much lower. And part of the reason for that, we're still very concerned about damaging winds, which, by the way, can do just as much damage as a tornado. So you still need to take those seriously. A tornado is possible, just a much lower threat tonight than we've had the last couple systems. And part of the reason for that is that most of these storms are moving through in one continuous line. And when that happens, you have a better risk for damaging straight line winds. When you get storms starting to run out ahead or form ahead of a line, when they're kind of out on their own, we call those discrete supercells or discrete cells. And they have much more of an ability to start rotating because, they're kind of out there on their own, the winds are pushing them around. So they have a better ability to start rotating. So that's why our tornado threat is much lower with this system than it has been the last couple times. The last couple systems over the last few weeks have been kind of isolated or scattered in nature storms, and this is one continuous line of storms that moves through.
Okay, well, I'll just have you take it away with our forecast. How about that?
Let's get one more check at it. I'll pull the 7-day up so you can see that. Today, the afternoon hours are fine. You should be able to get out and enjoy it. It will be getting windy, though, as we go through the afternoon. Gusts 25 to 30 miles per hour are possible, and you'll notice clouds on the increase late this afternoon. Upper 70s, near 80 today, so it will be warm. And then we're watching tonight, of course, for those showers and that nasty line of storms that'll move through in the overnight hours. Again, so have a plan in place before you go to bed, have a way to receive warnings, and know a plan for you and your family. Some of that rain could linger through the morning hours on Thursday, but we do start clearing out in the afternoon. It's much cooler tomorrow afternoon behind that front too. Upper 60s to near 70. In the mid 60s on Friday, just a 20% chance of a stray shower in the afternoon. And then the weekend, guys, is great. Sunny both Saturday and Sunday. Saturday is another one of those almost 75 in sunny days, and then we'll be close to 80 again by Sunday.
Yeah, thank you, Christian, for all the awesome and important weather information, especially heading into a night like tonight. We know you'll be responding to people's comments and questions as they continue to weigh in on our live Facebook feed right now. A lot of people also still talking about our previous talker about whether the school year is going to be extended for students. That's going to be something we stay on top of this week as North Carolina educators start making decisions and thinking ahead. So we will circle back around with this and make sure you are staying informed. But we want to thank you all for joining us and participating on After GMS. We do this every day at 7:45 on Facebook Live. And please tune in again to WFMY News 2 at noon. We'll see you then.